Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? It is your favorite Christian ripoff of whatever YouTube channel your parents aren't letting you watch right now. That's right, say goodnight, Kevin, coming right at ya. You know, I am triggered today. I am very triggered. I have had a lot of you send me a video from a guy whose YouTube channel happens to be trigger warning, and I'm very excited because, you know, when I started doing Say Goodnight, Kevin, my goal, my dream, the thing that I could never possibly imagine could happen is maybe I'll inspire other people to start thinking for themselves and they'll be inspired. And clearly, I've inspired this guy because his very first video is a video directed specifically at me. And so I thought, you know what? Today is the day. Today's the day that I do a reaction video because I don't get a lot of those. I mean, I'm such a nice guy that I think that people just unsubscribe. They're like, oh, well, what a waste. But apparently, this guy felt that it was necessary to make a video towards me. Honestly, I would have picked a much more popular YouTuber than myself, but then again, you know, here I am making a response video about it. So without any further delay, let's jump right into it and see what this guy's got to say. Praise him! So we start off, we've got this very amazing picture. I don't actually even remember taking this picture next to this llama wearing a hat, but it looks so realistic, I thought for a second that this was, but it's actually, I believe he's photoshopped this into here. That's out there. It exists. There's nothing really we can do about that now. So let's move on. Let's see what you got to say.
Say goodnight, Kevin.
Ah! Holy crap, what's wrong with your voice? I hope beyond hope that there is nothing severely wrong with you. I don't want to make fun of you if you have throat cancer and you can't breathe out of anything but a hole in your throat and you can't talk. I pray that's not the case.
I'm here to talk to you.
Seriously, what is going on with this voice? You're gargling salt water while you're recording this? Maybe you have a sore throat? Maybe you have lung cancer?
I'm here to talk to you for quite a little bit.
I don't know if I have quite a little bit, but I'll give you 4 minutes.
I'd have just a few questions. One of them being,
Am I watching some sort of ransom note? Am I in a Ron Howard film starring Mel Gibson?
since you're a man of faith, why is it the only time that we hear about this faith when you're criticizing the church?
I don't know that that's true. I think that I talk about my faith a good bit. I don't know. I'm not really a pastor, and so I don't think of myself as that. I'm a Christian. So, there you go.
I know you're anti-authoritarian, but it just seems a bit...
Whoa. How do you know I'm anti-authoritarian? I mean, it's true. I am. But, didn't know that it was so blatant and obvious.
Just seems a bit hypocritical thing when you're attacking the church body and, well, you believe that you're a part of it.
Interesting. Well, that's a good question. It may seem to some people that I am attacking the very thing that I claim to be a part of. I think that I'm more anti-forced coercion. I'm also anti-collectivist, so I don't believe that anybody is responsible for any actions that aren't their own, and you're not responsible for beliefs except for the beliefs of your own. And so if I'm attacking the church, I'm just attacking individuals who are in the church, not the church as a whole.
Also, why would you go after the church and do the work?
Oh, hold on, I gotta read now. Ironically, most of your issues are of uptight homeschooling Christians, which you ignore. Ironically, most of your issues... What? I don't know if you are trying to tell me that I need to talk more about homeschooling Christians, or if I need to ignore homeschooling Christians, or I need to stop ignoring homeschooling Christians, or that my perspective is too homeschooled and too Christian, in which case I guess I would have to agree.
Also, why would you go after the church and do the work of atheists for them?
I'm sorry, what?
Do the work of atheists for them.
What?
Do the work of atheists for them.
So, one more time.
Do the work of atheists for them.
Do the work of atheists. Are you all right there, buddy? Are you okay? It just sounds like you're breathing very heavily. Maybe you just came in from a run or a very brisk walk. Are you saying that I'm doing the work of atheists for them? Honestly, I can't understand what you're saying.
I guess my biggest complaint also.
Oh boy, here we go. His biggest complaint. Also.
I guess my biggest complaint also is that it seems like you don't criticize atheists as much as you do Christians.
Wow, yeah, I guess I don't. Should I call atheists out on their hypocrisies? I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll start criticizing atheists a little more.
I think that we can handle criticism unless you believe that we can't.
No, I'm sorry. I did not mean to patronize atheists by not criticizing them. You could go through my channel and say that I don't criticize a lot of groups or ideologies that people adhere to. I just happen to have found this niche. People like what I'm saying, and so I've decided to just kind of continue to do this and haven't thought about it. I think that atheists can handle criticism. In fact, that's kind of part of the fun, is that so many Christians do struggle so much with handling criticism when they are the ones who claim to be a part of a group that is supposed to hold each other accountable. I don't criticize somebody because of their beliefs, but I criticize people because of their actions. And so if there's an atheist who is trying to use coercion through violence or manipulation to control somebody else's life, then I certainly would criticize that as well, just as equally. I'm an equal opportunity criticizer.
I mean, really, are you going to go to your heaven someday and say, yes, I made a couple good jokes on Twitter, I was opinionated about things like the government, but...
Okay, I guess we've switched over to my opinions about the government that I've mentioned on Twitter. Yeah, I mean, I think that just kind of speaks to my consistency, that I don't think that it's right whenever people use power, violence, coercion to get people to do something that those people don't want to do. I believe in freedom and liberty, and I think that that is a part of my beliefs, and if somebody is guilting someone into doing something that they don't want to do, then they're wrong, and I'm going to call them out on it.
People not hearing the gospel isn't as important as my opinions on the government.
Well, no, just because I talk about something doesn't mean that I think that that is necessarily more important than other things. Since I'm the very first video that you've ever put out on your channel, according to your logic, apparently the most important thing in the world to you is letting me know that I am not doing things correctly. Now, my logic would say that sometimes I do videos about things that I find interesting or fascinating, and I explore ideas and I criticize things that may be problems within those ideas. I specifically have found a niche kind of as a Christian, criticizing Christian films. I've been able to offer a perspective that a lot of people haven't seen before. That doesn't mean that there aren't other things that are more important to me. In fact, I could care less if Christian movies stop being the way they are. I don't think the Kendrick brothers are actually watching my video and saying, you know what, Kevin's right, I should be different and I should start making just regular movies instead of preachy movies. The point of my show is to inform the consumer. That's what any review is.
Also, well, I'm just curious personally, why do you believe in Christianity, being that you are an intelligent and bright fellow?
Oh, well, thank you.
You're able to unravel the majestically evil brainwashing that was Blood's Not Dead. I think you did quite a good job at it.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, though I don't know that it was that difficult to unravel the absurdity of God's not dead. You just simply have to know what Jesus taught, and then you look at somebody who says, I believe in Jesus, and then see that those don't line up, and then you say, well, those can't be the same thing.
You're clearly above average intelligence.
Really, honestly, I'm blushing right now. I am so honored. Thank you, Mr. Llama. I really appreciate it. This is not a joke.
So why do you believe in this God?
I knew these compliments had to be leading up to a loaded question. You know, I think one of the reasons why me as a Christian connect with atheists so much is because a lot of atheists are often on a search for truth. And I think that that is really good. And I also am on a search for truth. But I think the other reason is that we both have such a disdain for religion, because religion is very manipulative and attempting to control other people, and I don't believe that religion is good, or the collectivist mentality of religion. But I also don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. The concept of believing that the only reality that exists is that which humans can perceive is just outrageous, that our five senses are the only things that can be real, and so to believe that there is a spiritual world, I don't think is an unintelligent thing, and I know that it sounds like pseudoscience, but the fact that God and his work and his abilities in the spiritual world are not quantifiable or are not observable is not an indication that they aren't true. The fact that science doesn't explain it when science is strictly the observation of the physical world makes complete sense. I don't think that it's any different than how I love my fiance or how a parent may love their child. Like, you can't quantify the amount of love. You can see the actions of the love, but you can't measure it. But we know that love is real and we know that love exists and we understand it. The idea that we cannot understand what God thinks or why he does what he does is what I would expect to be real with God. I don't know how I can get into this without ticking a bunch of people off, or people saying that I'm a total idiot. I can tell you that I believe that God is real, and I think that he's real in my life. You can tell me that you don't think that he's real, and that's fine, but you can't say that he is not real any more than you can tell a parent that they don't love their child just because you specifically don't have that same love for that child. You know, people are responsible for what they do and what they believe. And sure, I'll share what I believe, like I have here on this episode, but I'm not gonna argue with you. Like, I can tell you what I believe and why I believe it. Outside of that, I'm just a YouTuber saying what I think.
So another thing I would say is, why don't you criticize movies like Religious for the same reasons you would criticize God's Not Dead?
Well, good point. You know, I have not criticized Religulous specifically. I hadn't thought about that movie since I saw it like 5 years ago. But I can criticize it now. I think Religulous is a very propaganda-filled film. I think that Bill Maher presented himself as if though he was trying to go on an honest search for the proof of God, but in reality, he interviewed a bunch of people who were very dumb. He edited it and used it as a propaganda piece, and then at the end said, well, I talked to a bunch of people, so I guess there isn't a God. And I think that you could do this with any group. I could go around and interview a bunch of uninformed Republicans or Democrats or atheists or somebody from a different race, and I can interview the dumbest of those people and then turn around to the camera and say, well, I guess I proved it. People who are in this group are dumb. And I think that it's a very ridiculous tactic. I think that his conclusion was very slanted and one-sided and manipulative, and there's my review of Religulous.
I think that movie deserves to be put under a microscope.
I don't know, perhaps I'll do a full review of that movie at some point in my YouTube career.
When people freak out about God's Not Dead and they're quiet about a movie like that, that really gets under my skin.
Well, I apologize for getting under your llama skin.
What are you going to say to God when he asks you what you did with the platform given to you?
You're kind of using the old evangelism explosion diagnostic question back at me. If you were to go to heaven and God were to ask you, why should I let you in? What will you say? I don't know. I mean, I'm just going to point at Jesus and say, judge me based on him.
Or you're just going to tell him, well, I need a couple good singers and kept the Christian film industry in check. Guess it's not really my call since I am an atheist.
I think it's funny whenever people say that you're misusing your platform, as if the platform that you have was somehow magically given to you, and then you, in return, are not preaching at people. Especially since a huge part of my audience has grown because I talk about how people shouldn't be preaching so blatantly in films. Why would I turn around and say, hey, by the way, this is how you should live? More reading, come on. Shouldn't you use your platform to make disciples and prevent people from going to hell? No, this is actually a lie perpetuated by Christians and a misunderstanding of the Bible. One time, Penn Jillette said something about this. If you have a friend who's standing in front of a train and you know that that friend is about to get hit by the train, even if he doesn't want to move, shouldn't you jump out and save him? And that video was played at youth groups and at churches across the country and at Bible studies and Wednesday night prayer meetings and whatnot, saying, look, even the atheists are saying that we should get out there and we should force people to become Christians. And honestly, I just 100% disagree with that mentality. It is not up to me to prevent people from going to hell. Like, I can't trick you or convince you.
Not to mention, I do think it's interesting the atheists that you know are more open about that at least than you are, using more damage control about it. More interested in controlling and making sure that it doesn't get out of line when you talk about God, offensive to atheists. When Bobby Burns and others, they go right into it.
Oh, well, interesting. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll talk to Bobby and tell him to chill out on his YouTube channel, and I will threaten to delete it if he doesn't start talking a little more subtly about his faith and lack thereof. Look, I'm not the atheists that I know. I'm friends with the atheists that I know. I'm not the Christians that I know. I am me. I'm Kevin. And the way that I approach what I talk about is the way I approach what I talk about. I kind of get that way about anything. I feel like I can talk openly about stuff, but I also, I'm careful. I don't want to offend people or hurt people's feelings. It's called empathy. Welcome to the wonderful world of somebody being a Christian on YouTube. You've just proven my point. Yeah, I am a little more apologetic and kind and loving and caring to people who aren't Christians than I am to people who claim to be Christians but are unloving and uncaring to other people. Knowing Bobby Burns personally and him being one of my closest friends, I know that me as a Christian have never felt any hostility from him because I'm a Christian, and I don't believe that he has ever felt any hostility from me towards him for the same reasons. We can openly and very honestly talk talk about our faith. And yeah, we make fun of the ridiculousness within the Christian faith. Should he make fun of the ridiculousness within atheism? I guess, but maybe that's not what he wants to talk about. It's people could talk about what they want to talk about on their YouTube channel, just like you are talking about what you want to talk about on your YouTube channel, and I commend you for it. Great job. Maybe don't do the voice processing next time, and then it'll be a lot better. Thanks so much for the questions. I hope that answers them for you. Talk to you later. If you like what I had to say here, then you can keep supporting me on Patreon. That is patreon.com/SayGoodnightKev. Big shout out to Westminster Effects and Brendan Neely for their continued support of that Patreon. It's amazing that you guys support the show. I really appreciate it. That's all I gotta say. Talk to you guys later. Good night. Oh, so you want me to criticize atheists? Okay, well, honestly, I do have a criticism of atheists. I think atheists often have a tendency to set up what they expect God to be, and then whenever God isn't that thing, then they get mad about it. And I genuinely think that that's kind of what you're doing here to me. You're saying that I think that your channel should be this because you have this platform, and because you're not doing that, then there's a problem. And, well, like God said to Job, you could get over it.